Welcome into Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr. Appreciate all of you for making tonight's post-game show a part of your night. And it's a disappointing night for the Philadelphia Eagles as they suffer their first loss in the 2022 season by a final score of 32-21. That final score looked actually worse than it was because Devontae Smith, during that miraculous miracle play, tried to throw the football back. Casey Toohill with the scoop and score. So this game was actually closer than what the scoreboard indicated. But final score of 32-21. And honestly, this is a game that we're going to remember for a couple of reasons. As Philadelphia was sloppy, they turned the football over 3 times. Their 3 turnovers tonight matched the amount of turnovers that they had all year in the first 8 games of a season. They also were penalized often. The officiating crew did not do them any favors. And really, the big talking point that a lot of people are going to be talking about is the Philadelphia Eagles, 3 downs to go defensively. Nick Sirianni had to use all 3 timeouts. On 3rd and long, Washington decided to pass. Taylor Heinicke was running around the pocket, looking to throw. He decided to take a knee. And when he took a knee, that's the official end of the play. But then Brandon Graham hit him. The officials call a penalty, 15 yards, automatic first down. And since Philadelphia didn't have any didn't have any timeouts, that did it for the game. So the Eagles do go down. And look, we knew that this was going to happen at some point this year. And a lot of people are certainly frustrated by the lack of offensive momentum. Washington dominated time of possession. I thought the Eagles defense got absolutely carved up on 3rd downs all throughout the night. But it's actually kind of good that the Eagles got this first loss out of the way because the pressure to stay undefeated and to go undefeated really is just overwhelming to a certain degree. And now the Philadelphia Eagles, they get checked a little bit, and they have to evaluate how they move forward, and they have to evaluate some of the weaknesses that they have as a football team. So as we continue to move forward in our post-game show, I do want to hear from everybody in the comment section right now. What is your one-word reaction to this loss on Monday Night Football? Was it robbed, disappointment, choke job? Let me know right now in the comment section. I know a lot of you are fired up, so get fired up right now in that comment section. So with the Eagles suffering their first loss, let's first talk about the officials. I am never one to blame referees for a loss in any sport. I think it's usually 50-50. I usually think that the field is never tilted. Both teams suffer from bad officiating. But the Dallas Goedert missed face mask was an awful call. That's the play that he fumbled, and then Washington is able to convert that into points. These types of calls change the complexion of football games, and those types of calls cannot be missed when Dallas Goedert clearly gets face masked, which could have impacted him coughing the football up. And then the other bad officiating blunder. I understand that by rule, when Taylor Heinicke takes that knee, the play is dead. But for Brandon Graham, he's chasing after Taylor Heinicke. Washington tried to get tricky on that 3rd down. They tried to pass it there to catch the Eagles' defense off guard. And with Heinicke looking around the pocket, he takes that knee. Brandon Graham is approaching him. He might not have known that Taylor Heinicke took that knee. And Heinicke kind of did this knee where it didn't necessarily look as though he went fully down to the ground. So for the officiating crew to throw a flag there, knowing that if Washington picks up a first down, that the game is over, and to not even give the Eagles an opportunity to come back and drive down the field for a potential game-winning touchdown is an absolute disgrace in my opinion, and it blows my mind how referees in the NFL, it's the only profession in the world in which they make mistake after mistake, week after week, yet that's the only profession that does not get held accountable. They can have this report after the game saying, we missed a call here, we missed a call there, but they still hold on to their jobs and they don't get penalized at all. And to throw the flag in that spot, I thought it was an absolute atrocity that they throw the flag there knowing that that ends the football game and it keeps the Eagles from having an opportunity to come back in the football game. So if you're tired of bad officiating, I want you to just type F the refs right now in the comment section. We're going to start to answer some of your questions right around the corner. I certainly have some more takeaways that I want to get to, but appreciate everybody for tuning into our watch party. It was one of the more successful watch parties that we've had here on Philadelphia Eagles Now. If you want videos every single day on the Birds, lock us in and subscribe. Eagles news, rumors, analysis, live shows, and watch parties coming your way on the daily basis year-round. More takeaways that I want to get to. Here's what it comes down to for the Eagles. I talked about the officials already, but let's be real. The Eagles were sloppy. They tied their amount of turnovers that they had in the previous 8 games tonight alone. And I had said, this plus 15 turnover differential, it's a little bit fluky. There's no way that this is sustainable. They got off to this historic start with their turnover differential, but it just can't last. At some point, the Eagles were due for a game in which they were going to cough the football up, they were going to turn the football over, and that's what happened tonight. And the averages have to play out at some point. You can't be plus 15 a turnover differential for that long. And the Eagles were off to this just historic trend. And I understand that they preach ball security. I understand that there are pictures placed of how you hold and carry the football across the NovaCare complex in South Philadelphia. That's great. But at some point, the Eagles were gonna turn the football over, and that game did happen tonight. Now, I do want to give a shout out to our sportsbook partner, BetUS. They're offering the best deal that any sportsbook has to offer. Chatsports.com/EaglesBet, promo code Eagles125 for a 125% deposit bonus. You put in $100, you get an additional $125 back. Let's talk about the Eagles' flaws now before we start taking your questions. The Eagles do have some flaws as a football team. The run defense, without Jordan Davis, has really struggled the last 2 weeks. Even with Jordan Davis, they were not good. So the run defense, if the Eagles go down early in a game, we kind of saw tonight that Washington was able to milk the clock. They dominated time of possession. They kept the Eagles' explosive, potent offense off the field by running the football. That is a formula for a team to win in the playoffs, to pull off an upset if the Eagles get sloppy. They get complacent. They turn the football over. They go down, and the other team just runs the football, and they keep the Eagles' offense off the field. The secondary tonight, they got thrashed. Washington was excellent on their third down conversion rate. Time and time again, Taylor Heinicke carved them up. And it's pretty notable that Taylor Heinicke is the better quarterback as compared to Carson Wentz. The offense also does worry me just a bit, because they do rely on explosive plays. And with that, the defense doesn't have a lot of time to rest. Jalen Hurts is not a quarterback who's going to drop back. He's going to go through his progressions, read the field, and kind of dice you up like a Tom Brady. A lot of his reads are predetermined with where they want him to go with the football. And tonight, you saw him get confused at times. You saw him get pressured. And when A.J. Brown doesn't have an all-star type of game like he didn't have tonight, then this Eagles offense is looking for different answers out there. I also thought the Eagles were way too slow to run the football. When they finally did in the second half, they had some success with Miles Sanders having 12 carries for 54 yards. Some fluky plays in this football game, no question about it. But at the end of the day, the Eagles were a little bit sloppy. And they could take advantage of the early momentum shift of when Josh Sweat came through with that strip sack of Taylor Heinicke. They score a touchdown a couple of plays later. Their first 2 drives, they scored touchdowns on each of them. Then they went on these lulls, and Washington certainly able to take advantage there. So grade the Birds' performance tonight on Sunday Night Football. A, B, C, D, or F? Let me know right now, and we'll start taking your questions and your super chats now. Losing hope. Straight rigged. The refs blew it over and over. A couple of really bad calls in this game. The Brandon Graham call, I just don't understand how they throw the flag in that spot. It just boggles my mind how they throw the flag in that spot. The Dallas Goedert missed face mask, that was just an atrocious miss. That cannot happen. And that led to a Washington turnover, and then they put points on the board. Kyron Clarkson with the $2 super chat as well. This loss is better now than later. Fly high, fly Eagles fly. Yeah, look, it's good to lose a game at some point. I thought the pressure would have been insurmountable if the Eagles just run the table for the entire regular season. At some point, you have to get checked because at some point, you have to evaluate yourselves. You have to look in the mirror, and you have to make some adjustments. And now the Eagles going into next week going to have to make some adjustments, and they have to go on the road to take on a feisty Colts team that's fighting for their playoff lives with Jeff Saturday. John Dowden, next up. Big picture, we got what we needed, a tough loss. And I think it's important. I think it's good. There are big takeaways that you can have from facing some adversity in a season. And if the Eagles are able to get the football back, I had confidence in them that they were going to march down the field and put points on the board for an epic victory. I mean, they almost had it with Quez Watkins. They have that shot play downfield. He catches it. He doesn't get touches. He goes to the ground. He tries to get up to make a play after the catch, and he fumbles the football. Like, that was the type of fluky nature that happened tonight. And those type of fluky games, they don't always happen in the NFL. Ernesto, need to wonder, did we even get an update on A.J. Brown after he left? We didn't hear his name after he left. He did play. He did come back, as we talked about during our watch party. He was just a non-factor. One catch tonight. So he didn't really do much in this game for Philadelphia. So we'll monitor that. It looked as though early in the game on a little out route, he was a little bit gimpy. I'm not sure what that injury was, but maybe they'll have an update after the game, and then we'll update you tomorrow here on Eagles Now. John Galt, why does Dallas suck so bad? Look, the Eagles suffer this really tough defeat, but at least the Dallas Cowboys choked to the Green Bay Packers. They fall to 6-3. The Eagles are 8-1, still in a really good position to win this division. The New York Giants are still playing really good football, and my worst fear is that the Eagles are going to have to play like Tom Brady in the first round of the playoffs. That's why getting this number 1 seed is going to be so important for the Eagles. Get that number 1 seed, you get home field advantage, you get a first-round bye, and hopefully you don't have to take on Tom Brady in the first round of the playoffs. Appreciate everybody for tuning into our post-game show. If you're still watching us here for our watch party, we'll continue to stay live as long as we get Super Chats. Eagles fall for the first time this year by a final score of 32-21. Appreciate all of you for rocking and rolling with us.